Hello and welcome to another edition of Issues with Jide. Here we'll talk about actions and inactions of those who shape our national landscape and how they impact us positively or otherwise. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Today on the show, groups plan shutdown of northern states over Banditry. Controversy as court declares marriages conducted at Ikoyi Registry illegal. And lastly on the show, IPOB declares Kanu prisoner of conscience. In the course of the program, we'll take your questions. First, subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. Have joining me via Zoom, the magistrate himself, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju. Thank you so much for joining us on another edition of Issues with Jide.
So it's a bit of echo that we need to address.
All right, I'm sure the technical guys will do that, work on the echo. Right, now, Sokoto State, let's start by talking about the coalition of northern groups in Sokoto who has given the federal government 3 months within which to resolve the security issues. I mean, the security situation in the zone or face mass action. Looks like Nigerians have had enough, haven't they?
Well, it's coming a bit late, but it's better late than never. The people of the North have endured extreme pain from bandits and other criminals. So, if the people are coming out at this stage through some civil society organizations to protest as a way of getting government to address this problem, then it makes sense. It really makes sense. So, the government has to be made aware. Today on the show, groups plan shutdown of northern states of Banditry. As courts declares marriages conducted at Ikoyi Registry illegal. Lastly on the show, IPOB declares Kanu prisoner of conscience. Bring this on the program. Take your question. Other criminally inclined persons. And there is every reason to believe that those protests will continue at least until we see clear signs of progress. That is the message that group is sending across, and they want government to take action. Government has been lethargic. Government has been incompetent of handling this insecurity in the far north. And now everyone is worried. You cannot move from community to community without facing the big risk of being kidnapped or even killed. People are paying through their noses to get on flights. Air travel is now extremely popular in northern Nigeria. It had not always been like that. It is because no one wants to take the risk of commuting through our roads in northern Nigeria. You can imagine the Abuja-Kaduna highway. It has become so unsafe. Bandits will operate for hours without restraints, and our people get kidnapped, our people get killed. Not everyone can get onto the train, the Abuja train service. So those who are unable to get onto the Abuja train service because the tickets are usually reserved for the rich, because some business people hoard these tickets and keep them for the highest bidder. A lot of our poor folks cannot access those tickets, so they are forced to get onto the road, and a lot of them get kidnapped. Zaria Kano highway is also not safe. You cannot tell when the bandits will strike on any portion of that road. So it's such a terrible thing, and I am not surprised that these protests have come. I believe that the protests should have come before now. But the truth is, people have a way of politicizing these protests. They will tell you, oh, it's because some people do not like President Buhari. But protests do not necessarily mean that the people do not want the president. Protests are meant to alert the president to the need to take decisive actions capable of bringing succor to the people of that part of our country who are indeed suffering. They voted for the president in large numbers. So they deserve a better deal in terms of security. And if the people are protesting and asking that the president take concrete actions to keep them safe, to keep our highways safe, to keep our communities in the north safe, I don't think it's something that is too high to demand of our government. The responsibility of government is to protect the citizenry.
Right.
And if the government is not doing that enough, then the people reserve the right to protest, to draw the attention of government to what it should do to keep them safe. So politicizing the protest and saying, oh, they do not like the president and all that is absolute rubbish. This was the same way that the NSAS protests were politicized, and people came up with the funny narrative that it was meant to kick President Buhari out of office. Whereas even the president supported the NSAS protests at the beginning. He said, look, we have had your complaint loud and clear. And the president admitted that the police were guilty of excesses that needed to be addressed. That was NSAS at that time. But some Nigerians, especially on social media, came up with the extremely irresponsible claim that the NSAS protests were meant to kick Buhari out of office. They completely politicized the NSAS protests, and when even the NSAS protesters too overstayed their welcome on our roads, it played into the hands of those who did not see anything good in the protests. The protests in northern Nigeria are not political. They are meant to draw the attention of government to what the government needs to do to keep those communities safe. People don't need to be dying the way they are dying in Sokoto, in Zamfara, in Kaduna, and in Katsina states.
All right, Biko, let me jump in.
President, where at least 12 local governments, as we speak, are not safe. Local government like Basari, Dandume, Damusa.
Biko, let me jump in. Let me jump in, Biko. Yeah, I hope the audio is cool now. So, latest reports has it that troops have killed several bandits following a gun duel, which ensued during a raid at a hideout in Katanga village in Isa local government area of Sokoto State on Thursday. So, is this the response these groups expected?
No, it's actually not enough, and it's not meant to be limited to one state or one community. We want an effective response cutting across all the contiguous states. You will never be able to defeat banditry if you do not carry out a coordinated operation against these enemies of the Nigerian state across the frontline states of the northwest and north central. Because if these states link one another, so if you simply conduct an operation in Isa local government of Sokoto State, and you do not go to Goronyo local government in Sokoto State, and you do not go to Tureta local government in Sokoto State, and you do not go to Sabombrini local government in Sokoto State, and you do not go to Wurno local government in Sokoto State, you are not going to achieve the desired result. And even if you clear these bandits of the areas where they hide in Sokoto State, how about Katsina, where 12 local governments are deemed unsafe? How about Kaduna, where only about 4 or 5 local governments in the entire Kaduna state are believed to be safe at this time? So what do? You've got to launch a big military operation that will cost a lot of money that would take so much time to take out these fellows. Anything short of it, we are wasting time. We can declare them bandits, but we will not be able to defeat them if we do not come up with appropriate response. Simply declaring them bandits is not the solution. It has to be followed up by the right military approach, the right strategy, the right tactics deployed, not simply to get the court to declare them bandits. After all, Boko Haram has been declared, terrorists. After all, Boko Haram has been declared a terrorist group since the Jonathan era. But till today, we have not defeated Boko Haram. Boko Haram still occupies, and they are still very active in at least 50% of Borno North and 50% of Borno Central.
Yeah, that being said, BKO, do you now agree with the Sokoto State Governor, Aminu Tambuwal, who asked the federal government to recruit special forces to fight bandits in their enclaves in the forest? Too many suggestions here and there, but it does appear nothing is working, correct?
There is no need to set up a special forces team for banditry. The army has the tools and the men to get the job done. All that will require is a big operation that will not allow for the escape of these good-for-nothing people. We have the training that the bandits don't have. The soldiers we have the Air Force, we have the Navy, we have the ground troops, we have the special forces. The Air Force has special forces, the Army has special forces. And they have various training facilities in our country for special forces. In Yobe State in the Northeast, and even in Kaduna in the North Central. So we don't need to set up a new special forces team. We already have special forces. I may not be totally convinced as to the level of their training. Not all special forces can have the kind of training that the American Special Forces, the Navy SEALs of America has. But we have enough training, enough capability to be able to defeat these bandits if we apply ourselves totally and unremittingly to it. What is missing is the political will on the part of our government. Nothing short of a comprehensive military campaign can put these guys out of business. Nothing short of it. We've got to realize that. Are you there?
Okay, all right, good. I just wanted to be sure whether your audio was there. Now let's change tack because we'll go back to that earlier topic. We have a lot of questions, on our YouTube channel already. But let's change tack by talking about the Ikoyi registry. The news that a Nigerian High Court sitting in Lagos declared that it was unconstitutional for the federal government to conduct marriages, declaring as illegal and invalid, caused a stir during the week. Help us understand the misunderstanding or the misunderstandings that stemmed out of these legalese.
Well, I think some of these commentaries that we are seeing in respect with regards to the Ikoyi court ruling are products of interpretative journalism. And such remarks, such commentaries did not bear in mind the history of the court case. You've got to bear in mind the history of the case, have the foundation of the case, and be able to determine whether that judicial pronouncement can take effect the way it is at this time. And I will explain. In 2002, Hasrop, went to court, went to the Federal High Court, and the court ruled at that time that the federal authorities, through the Ministry of Interior, can organize, solemnize wedlocks by delegating that duty to the local governments. That was the judgment at that time. It affirmed that the federal government can organize weddings, can legally bind couples, as we are seeing in the Ikoyi Registry, through the local government by delegating that power to the local governments. Now, that particular judgment was not appealed, so it subsists. But instead of appealing that judgment or getting the court to set aside, instead of getting the court to set aside that judgment, Etiosa local government instituted a fresh matter, whereupon the court, the Federal High Court, affirmed that by the letters of the 1999 Constitution, only the local government were empowered to conduct marriages by the provisions of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Now, the implication of this is two courts of concurrent jurisdiction have given two conflicting judgments. It is then clear that neither judgment can hold time, because none of those two courts is more powerful than the other. What has to be done at this time is for either of the parties to appeal to a higher court, appeal to a higher court. We now have two judgments, one delivered in 2002 in respect of Hasrop versus Ikoyi Registry, and Hasrop versus Etiosa, and then this fresh one. So what will resolve this hulabaloo is the pronouncement of a superior court, either the appeal court or the Supreme Court. And I do think that we will get to that. It's a good thing that we are testing our law. Let us be able to determine between the federal government and the local government who indeed has the power to conduct marriages.
Biko, yeah. So I read another report that says
that. So that's where we are.
Okay, yeah. I read another report that says that Ikoyi and the FCT courts, they have the right, that no problem, but it is not possible for any other courts in any other any other federal government courts in any state to conduct marriages. That's an interpretation that I read to it, by some of those who are doing fact checking about the judgments. I don't know whether you saw that, and how do you react to it if you did?
I have not seen the certified true copy of that judgment, and I really do not want to comment on what I have not seen. But when you look at this matter, even if that was the case, since we have two conflicting judgments from two courts of concurrent jurisdiction, there is really nothing we can do at this stage. The only thing that will happen is that the status quo ante will remain, because neither of those courts can invalidate the judgment given by the other. You understand? We've got to get a pronouncement from a superior court. That is what would now hold water. But we've had two judgments now from courts of concurrent jurisdiction.
Yeah.
By law, neither of those. So it's like, for now, things will stay the way they are until the superior court makes a judicial pronouncement in respect of this matter. So nothing has changed. By law, nothing has changed now.
Okay. So let us hope that those who had their marriages at Ikoyi, Registry, and so on and so forth, who are having problems in their marriage and saying, I don't think our marriage was based on righthood, it's based on falsehood, so I think we should divorce. So I think your advice to them is to stay judgment.
Yes, they should stay action.
Stay action.
I've read all sorts of funny things. You know how you cannot set aside all of the judgments that are taken, all of the marriages that have been consummated at Ikoyi Registry or wherever, The courts give the power solely to the local government. It will not mean that all of the marriages that have been consummated at that level have been deemed illegal. That would be extremely unfair.
Okay, BK, let's go to our final topic because we've got a lot of questions on the on YouTube channel. Nnamdi Kanu, in the news again, is now declared as a prisoner of conscience by his group, the indigenous people of Biafra. Does his ideology, or do his ideology and worldview qualify to be referred as those?
Well, it depends on who is making the argument. I personally am opposed to the fact that IPOB has been linked with some of the violence taking place in the Southeast. And if the group that you represent, if the group that you gave back to, that you instituted, is linked with violence, it will be difficult for you to see yourself as purely a prisoner of conscience. One of the ways by which that violence could be put to an end is to arrest the directing minds. As far as the federal government of Nigeria is concerned, IPOB has been proscribed. It is deemed illegal. It is behind some violent combustions in parts of the Southeast, and it is in court against the federal government. Yes, the federal government has the right to go ahead and prove that indeed IPOB was found to be involved in some violence in the Southeast, leading to loss of lives and all that. They have got to justify why they see IPOB as a terrorist group. They've got to justify why they are keeping Kanu in detention at this time. They've got to be able to properly link him with some of the violence. But as far as Kanu's people are concerned, some of those actions that we have seen, some of the violence that we have seen cannot even be pinned on Nnamdi Kanu. And we've seen situations in which IPOB called off his sit-at-homes on Mondays, except on days when Kanu is being brought to court. And other people went ahead to enforce the sit-at-home order and even beating up people and killing people in the process. So it's a difficult one. The government is in court with Nnamdi Kanu. As far as the government is concerned, Nnamdi Kanu is not a prisoner of conscience. He is someone who is being detained legitimately because of some of the violence that had already been linked to his group, which is IPOB. But IPOB continues to argue that Nnamdi Kanu
Hello, BKO, can you hear me? BKO, are you there?
Violence in nature, and that
Right.
to
BKO, are you there?
Hello?
Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we lost you momentarily. Okay, fine. But let me quickly take some questions from our YouTube channel. We've got Olusola Jide saying, BKO, with these recent outcry by the northern groups, don't you see Mr. President losing grip of the confidence reposed in him early 2015? I wanted to respond to that very quickly.
Yeah, a good number of people are not happy with the president. They think that he has not lived up to expectation. They expected a president with a military background to be able to protect us better. But what we have seen is an escalation in insecurity at the level never before seen in the history of our country. No one, except a dishonest person, will say that insecurity had ever been this bad in our country. It had never been this bad in our country. And for those who are displeased with the president or disappointed in the president because of this level of insecurity, I have no complaints against them at all. Even me, I supported the president, but I expected something better. I expected him to protect us a lot better, but that's not what we are seeing. So we can only continue to encourage him to live up to expectation. For now, anyone who says the president has disappointed him, especially the area of insecurity, I believe that person is right.
All right, so another question. It's almost 2 weeks. The court declared activities of bandits as acts of terrorism. Yet federal government has not pronounced bandits as terrorists. Why?
Well, it takes time. Even the court pronouncement has to be gazetted. That's a process. So I think just as the Minister of Justice said, that process is still in place. I'm particularly just bemused that people kind of think that by pronouncing these guys terrorists that we will defeat them. I mean, it's foolhardy to simply think this way. There's no parallel in history that we can point to. What would guarantee defeat is the strong action taken by our military. Our military must have courage to take action. Nobody told them not to kill these guys unless they are declared terrorists, whether they are declared bandits or even our friends. As long as they are carrying out activities against our people, against the Nigerian state, they deserve to be effectively dealt with. So you don't even wait until such a time that they've been declared terrorists before you take action against them. So we are making it look like, oh, without them being declared terrorists, that we cannot effectively deal with them. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Makes sense.
It's ridiculous. And there's no guarantee that even with that the fact that they've been declared terrorists, that we will crush them immediately. No. It's the measures that you take that will determine whether you earn victory, not what you call them. We are completely obsessed with, oh, let's call them terrorists, and we are not asking questions.
Yeah, that's true.
Boko Haram that we called terrorists since the Jonathan era. Buhari has been in office now for more than 6 years. Boko Haram that we declare terrorists since the Jonathan era, we have not defeated them. If they are to do election in Borno State today, they can't do election in most of the communities.
All right, BKO.
So does that show that we have won the war? We have not won the war yet. Correct.
BKO. Two Niger says, exactly, he agrees with you. He said, Jide is correct. We seem to lack the will on the part of the federal government. Now, Olushola Julius is trying to find out. He's saying, BKO, why is our judiciary trying to keep contradicting itself by giving two conflicting judgments? And Stanley Maduka says, BKO, why is it that our judiciary is corrupt? Very briefly.
Well, it may not even be right to completely say that the judiciary is corrupt, but we see signs that show that some elements within the judiciary are unethical, and we expect the NJC to continue to punish these people, deny them the promotion that they deserve, so that the idea of giving completing judgments will come to an end. It just makes no sense for courts of concurrent jurisdiction to be giving us judgments that are contradictory.
Yeah, BK, someone is, Olushola Julius is also still trying to find out, prisoner of conscience is relative. Before the federal government, is Nnamdi Kanu a prisoner of conscience? He said he's trying to find out whether, to federal government's understanding, is Nnamdi Kanu, can he be seen by the federal government as a prisoner of conscience?
So of course, the federal government would disagree that he's a prisoner of conscience. As far as they are concerned, they have legitimate reasons for keeping him in detention. They have cases against him in court. They have their reasons for going to great lengths to bring him to justice in our country. As far as they are concerned, he had not been detained illegally, and he is not a prisoner of conscience. But as far as IPOB is concerned, nothing that Nnamdi Kanu has done can be described as against the law of the land. So they believe that Nnamdi Kanu had not done anything wrong by seeking self-determination.
All right, finally, BKO.
And as far as they are concerned, it's within the AU Charter, to actually seek self-determination.
All right, finally, BKO.
That's not how the Nigerian authorities did.
Yeah, that answers it. Finally, BKO. Fabian Case is saying, why will the president not issue an apology to Nigerians about failing to meet his political promises?
Oh, that's a matter of style. I don't think this president sees himself as having failed. A lot of his supporters too will not admit that he has failed. You need to engage some of his supporters on social media. The suggestion that he has failed will even invite insults, from his fiercest supporters. But the facts on ground show that on the matter of security, the president has not acquitted himself competently. Those who think that he has failed in the area of insecurity, I believe that they are right. I am not impressed with the quality of response of the federal authorities to insecurity in our country, and I'm not surprised that many Nigerians are thinking along this line. The president has to do much better in terms of protecting us as a people. If the president was on the other side, I'm sure that he will have been criticizing the government of the day and accusing the government of the day of having failed in his response. He's the current president now. Okay. He has every reason to do much better.
All right, BKO. We're calling it a wrap now, but I won't call it a wrap without having mentioned, giving recognition to the two last comments that we have on our YouTube channel. Two Niger says, statements like the judiciary is corrupt does a disservice to the good ones doing a great job. We appear to forget many in Nigeria are doing a good job, like Babajide and the host of this show. Thank you very much. Our heads are swelling. And Elushola Julius says, bravo.
Thanks,
TVC, kudos to you people. The audio was better today. Continue to improve. We are thrilled with your performance. BKO, just a very short response to them.
Thanks. Thank you so much, our viewers. We will continue to give our best, and wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
With our chicken, rice, etc., etc. All right, that's our show for today's edition of Issues with Jide. Special thanks to you, as always, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju, for those insightful analyses. And thanks to you, to our audience, for joining us on every edition. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, TVC News. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. Next edition. Merry Christmas in advance. Bye for now.